The first commander of the Union Army was Ulysses S. Grant, and he was 40 years old at the time. Along with Grant was Andrew Hall Forte. He was 55 at the time, and with Grant, they controlled over 24,000 Union troops. The first commander of the Southern Army was John Floyd, and he was 57 at the time. The next commander at age 56 was Guyden Pillow. Last but not least was Simon Buckner. He was 39 at the time, and the only one out of the three to get captured by Union troops. The three of these men controlled over 16,000 Southern troops. On February 12th, most of the Union troops departed from Fort Henry and proceeded about 5 miles on the two main roads leading between the forts. The USS Carondelet was the first gunboat to arrive up on the river, and she promptly fired numerous shells onto Fort Donelson, testing its defenses before retiring. Grant arrived on February 12th and established his headquarters near the left side of the front line at Widow Creep's house. Although the weather had mostly been wet up to this point in the campaign, a snowstorm arrived on the night of February 13th, with strong winds that brought temperatures down to 10 and 12 degrees and deposited about 3 inches of snow by morning. Guns and wagons were frozen to the earth. Because of the proximity of the enemy lines and the active sharpshooters, the soldiers could not light campfires for warmth or cooking, and both sides were miserable that night. Many have arrived without blankets or even overcoats. After Union ships ultimately destroyed everything that was on the Cumberland River by the south, Floyd knew that the Union would be able to flank them with their ships behind the fort. Floyd organized a breakout attempt on the east side of the Union's defenses. But due to the cold, the surprise attack wasn't a surprise at all. Union troops were unable to get to sleep due to the cold weather of the night. After the unsuccessful breakout attempt, Grant now moved his army to the east side and boxed in their east side, causing Smith to be able to go into Fort Donelson and ultimately having the surrender in the Union's hands.
The surrender at Fort Donelson was one of the oddest and most improbable acts on any Civil War battlefield. General Gideon Pillow from the Confederates sensed a complete victory over Union forces, but ordered the attacks on the Union to be withdrawn, and it was forced back to their own earthworks, thereby abandoning the hard-fought gains of the morning. And when Ulysses S. Grant heard this, he hurriedly returned to the front and ordered General Lew Wallace and McClernand to retake their lost ground. And then he rode to the Union left and ordered an attack upon Confederate Works General Smith's division, which was on the line. Grant reasoned correctly that the Confederate right must be greatly reduced in strength given the heavy Confederate assault on their left. Smith's division surged up to the works and overwhelmed the one Confederate regiment holding the extended line, capturing large stretches of the Confederate earthworks. Smith's division was stopped only by the onset of darkness. During the night of the 15th and 16th of February, Confederate leaders discussed their options, whether they wanted to surrender or not. Despite many disagreements, it was determined that surrender was the only viable option for the Confederate Army. Generals Floyd and Pillow managed to make various excuses and cross the river to safety. Lieutenant Colonel Nathan Bedford Forrest discussed with the Confederate decision to surrender, took his cavalrymen and escaped down to Charlotte Road. Even with these defections, more than 13,000 Confederate soldiers remained at Fort Donelson. With a Union attack poised to strike Fort Donelson, the Federal soldiers were surprised to see white flags flying above the Confederate earthworks. General Simon B. Buckner, now left in command for the Confederates, met with Ulysses S. Grant to determine the terms of surrender, And Buckner and Grant went to West Point together, so Buckner expected this surrender to be a smooth process, but Grant was making fun of him and would not accept the surrender right away, but he eventually did. So the casualties and losses of Fort Donelson were very one-sided. There was a total of 17,398 casualties. The Union had 2,331 of those, which means the Confederates had 15,067 casualties, which is a lot. The significance of this battle was Fort Donelson was a very important victory for the North. The fall of this heavily fortified fort on the Tennessee River was deep in the heart of the Confederacy. So this Union victory ensured that Kentucky would stay with the Union. It was also here that U.S. Grant earned his nickname Unconditional Surrender and his promotion to Major General, which helped him lead the Union to a total Civil War victory.